Alright, good morning. Got my car apart again. I got down to the dyno after I put my SuperTech valves and springs on and put my exhaust cam gear on from Skunk 2 and went down to try to make some more power. And we did, which is good, but we also broke our transmission. So, stock transmission. There's actually one really good forum on Club RSX, and that forum, somebody in there kind of mentions and states that there's a consensus that about 300 foot-pounds of torque on the transmission is pretty much borrowed time. I think is how they stated it. That seems to be about accurate because I was at 306. Seems like I might have been running on some borrowed time, and I got up to about 311, and then it started climbing, and real shortly after that, I shattered fourth gear. I'm not sure if I stripped the teeth off or if it's actually cracked and broken into little pieces in there. We'll have to see when we get it all out, but this transmission is the one that has my limited slip differential in it, so what I'm going to be doing is taking the gear set. Well, I may just move the limited slip over to here. I don't know, but I'm not sure how good I'm not sure. We'll have to see which one has the better seals. This one's been sitting out a long time. I may just move the gear set over. I know that one has good seals. This one's got more miles, I think. Easier miles, but more miles. So anyway, basically going to take this transmission, clean it up a little bit, clean up the other transmission, the one that's in here. Take this out and just crack open both the cases and start measuring stuff, see what I can use off of one and the other, what makes the most sense. This other transmission I took out of the car with my spare motor, which is all that stuff over there on that shelf. And I got parts and stuff everywhere. I got parts up in the attic. I got parts everywhere. Anyway, I got everything I need to get going. Seems like this is a never-ending project. So I've already got the clutch slave cylinder, and my turbo is laying over here on the floor. I got that out and kind of capped off the lines. Got the intercooler pipes more or less out. Might have to take this one off, we'll see. Got this little custom thing I made out of a bed rail with the help of my father and a couple of pieces of wood. And basically what I'm going to do is just, I actually made this little hook here too. Just took a piece of, it was a exhaust bracket hanger, of which I've got several. Came with some pipe I bought. Oh, that one's all hacked up. Yeah, anyway, so it was basically just this before. I just kind of bent the loop over a little bit and then tapped or threaded the shaft there to make this thing. And it works really well, actually. It's good, it's thick, it's strong, it's mild steel, but it's okay. It seems to hold a thread pretty well. Just put a little bit of thread cutting lubricant on there every time I use it, and it allows me to raise and lower the motor, fractions of a millimeter, which is nice. And it's basically, there's just two nuts there. This one's just a jam nut, which doesn't really do anything except keep the wrench from falling off and whatnot, but you can see there's actually another nut that the wrench is on, and that's the one that's actually doing the work. This may take some of the load, but whatever, that's just something I did. Anyway, so got the engine hanger adapter, the Victor Sierra Bravo 02 Bravo Romeo Sierra X-Ray 0, so it's basically a VSB 02 B RSX 0. Yeah, this thing I made basically just lifts up and down on this thing. The tool gives you a point that's not anywhere located on the transmission, which is important because you need to both use the one on the transmission, and of course you can't hang it from the transmission when you're taking the transmission out, leaving the motor in. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to leave that pivot point over there. Transmission is quite a bit higher than the fender well here, but if you take this bracket off of here and you drop this all the way down, which there's not a lot of clearance, but if you basically, it'll pivot on this mount here. So if you got it pivoting on that, it'll drop down just enough, and then you can take the transmission out the side there. I think last time what I ended up doing was I actually hung the motor from the cherry picker, which is over here. That's my cherry picker. And then I think I actually dropped it down more than it should have, or more than I thought I needed to, or whatever. And I think I got it out that way. I had some trouble. I'm going to try this again. I don't think I'll have to do that. I think I can just get it out like this. Anyway, all that's left is take the starter out and the bolts from the transmission holding it to the motor, and I should be good to go. And there's a little dust cover on the bottom has got to come out because it bolts to both the transmission and the motor. But I got everything I need. My Red Bull, I think there are a number of race cars that have been built, fueled basically just through Red Bull and pizza for breakfast. I got, here's my garage, I guess. I'll show you there's a subframe all out, which by the way is the way to do it. Take those bolts off of there. Got my welders and my press, old original wheels and tires, just in case I need to put some drag sticks on the old rims, or throw a tire on in an emergency. Toolbox, some just miscellaneous metal, and some stuff from my bike, which I gotta lubricate and clean the chain again. Drill press, grinder, bench grinder. Of course, it's on its own stand. There's one of the old axles. The other axle's over there on the other side. My old turbo engine stand. There's the head off of my other motor, and down there's the blocks and stuff. My electronic test bench, which basically has nothing electronic on it. Just some tools and junk and stuff. I don't know, whatever. See my cherry picker. I got a little radio. Got to have tunes while you're working. Spare stuff. That's the old suspension I just took off, and a lot of the stuff I took off of my car when I was upgrading or putting a turbo on. So I got duplicate oil pans, old suspension, transmission, bunch of old. There's my old Gretty exhaust, SE exhaust laying there. Actually got in a little bit of an accident on my bike and tore up a fairing, so that's that bike fairing laying over there. I've since replaced it, and there's a spare sunroof frame, which actually has some rust in it. I replaced the entire sunroof assembly because the glass, actually, it's not so much the frame. I guess the frame is just fine, but the glass frame here, what I did was I rust treated it and then coated it, which was fine. I mean, you can see that it's not rusting anymore. It kept it from rusting, but it did make the rubber a little bit more rigid, and it was kind of shitty. It's all rusted out. So basically, that old frame is all junk. It's rusted really heavily, so it needs to be thrown away. And but I have a spare piece of glass. But I don't think you can buy just the glass, and it's a pain to have to get that out and glue another piece in. So I basically just bought a whole new assembly from a busted up car, and just used that glass and left the assembly over there. Fixed the bike, which is nice, looks good, except that sticker. The Ninja sticker didn't come with it. I don't know how much it is, but it's not cheap. So I have a Ninja sticker on one side and not the other. As you can see, it's missing there. Anyway, so the car is once again all apart in pieces. Subframe all out, everything waiting on the transmission to come out. So that is what it is. New Skunk 2 Pro Cs. The only thing I found on the Pro Cs that I don't like is these lock rings here. You got to really, really, really get them tight. The tolerances on these things are not so tight that these lock rings won't come loose. And this lock ring has to be, ridiculously tight, because they're with this lock ring kind of takes the play out of the joint between the threaded shock and the and this. And so if you don't have it that tight, when you hit bumps and vibrations and like washboard roads and stuff, this just vibrates right off. Vibrates loose, and then there's play, and the shock body can potentially turn, changing your ride height, which throws off your your camber, and then eventually your toe if it's bad enough. This whole shock body can rotate down in there as this thing breaks loose. So But the first thing you'll notice is that, you know, there'll be a little bit of play, and then it'll start pulling toward whatever side's broken loose, because it has dropped slightly, and this is able to flex in this little section right here. It's not a lot. In fact, there's a good bit of friction on there now. I can't even turn that all loose with my hand, even though I just tightened it. But I'm going to have to get the wrench back out and probably bang on it with a hammer pretty good till it's sort of excessively tight, to get it to stay. And I may also have to get some thread lock. I'm not sure. I don't really want to put a bunch of stuff on the threads there, because I don't want to gum them up. I mean, that's why they're adjustable. So anyway, just has to be real tight.